Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. As this year is coming to an end, I've got a really exciting and quick announcement. In the new year in January, part of my daily content will be uploaded to Substack and Patreon only. I'm very excited to start working on new interviews. There will be more written content, and there will be more ways for my subscribers to engage. There is a subscriber-only chat too, so it will be a lot of fun, and I think it will be a really great way to connect with like-minded people. I will go ahead and include the links to my Substack and Patreon in description box below this video. Make sure that you are subscribed, and I look forward to seeing you on those two platforms. Let's talk about a story that sits right at the center of geopolitics, defense and global markets. Because what just happened between China and the United States over Taiwan is a lot more significant than it might sound at first glance. China has just announced sanctions against a group of major U.S. defense companies and their senior executives. This includes Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and General Industries. This wasn't just a symbolic slap on the wrist. Beijing is actually freezing any assets that these firms and individuals hold. Inside China, and Beijing is banning Chinese organizations and individuals from doing business with them. The executives that are named are also barred from entering the country. Now the question is, why would China do that right? Well, this is a direct response to the United States threatening China by arming Taiwan. The timing here is very, very deliberate. It is very important these sanctions come just days after the Trump administration approved a massive arms package. For Taiwan, the package is worth more than $10 billion, with a $10 billion, and if it clears Congress, it would be the largest weapons sale in the history of U.S.-Taiwan relations. We're talking about advanced systems like medium-range missiles. We're talking about drones, HIMARS launchers, self-propelled howitzers, and hundreds of attack missile systems, similar to those that the United States sent to Ukraine. So if you're still on the fence, whether the United States provokes sovereign nations, if it continues to meddle in sovereign countries' affairs, this is your answer. Beijing expects his partners to respect one China policy. Is that too much to ask also from a Beijing's point of view? From Beijing's perspective, this crosses a line. It is quite clear, and Beijing has been very explicit about that. China's foreign ministry repeated a phrase that we've heard many times, but which always carries weight. It continues to say that Taiwan is, quote, the core of China's core interests, and also the first line that cannot be crossed in U.S.-China relations. In other words, on this issue, Beijing is signaling zero tolerance. It is unwilling to compromise. To understand why this matters, you have to remember how central Taiwan is to China's national identity, and to China's politics. Beijing views Taiwan as a breakaway province that will eventually come under the control of the People's Republic of China. Taiwan, meanwhile, rejects that claim, and it sees itself as a separate entity, while it continues purchasing weapons from the United States and other states. And we also know that there are military instructors and other forms of military support that is stationed on Taiwan itself. The United States doesn't formally recognize Taiwan, by the way, as a sovereign country, but under the Taiwan Relations Act, the United States is obligated to help Taiwan defend itself against China, of course. Officially, the United States recognizes one China policy, but in reality and practice, its actions don't always align with that. The contradiction has defined U.S.-China tensions for decades. When we discuss trade tensions and U.S.-China geopolitical competition, it is important to contextualize it and keep the Taiwan issue front and center. Arms sales to Taiwan have always been a flashpoint, but the scale of this new package and the political context make it very different. This isn't just routine military support. This is a statement that Washington really wanted to make. But now the question is, was it truly worth it? China's response reflects its very strong stance on the issue. This is about signaling, this is about deterrence, and this is also about precedent. So when the United States claims that China limited exports of rare earth minerals, that, of course, as we know, as I wrote in great detail over on my Substack and Patreon, the same rare earth minerals that fuel U.S. defense contractors. Operations we should remember. $1 billion of weapon sales to Taiwan, and wonder if these sales might be one of the reasons why there is such a controversial relationship between the two great powers. China is making it very clear that companies and individuals that support Taiwan militarily will face consequences, and not just hypothetically, but concretely: asset freezes, business bans, travel restrictions. And maybe more importantly, this is a warning to others who might get involved in future arms deals with Taiwan. This is a warning to just stay away. The United States, for its part, frames the arms sales very differently. Of course, the State Department, for example, says the package supports U.S. national and economic interests. It helps Taiwan modernize its forces, and it maintains stability and military balance in the region. From Washington's perspective, arming Taiwan is all about deterring Beijing, which sounds eerily similar to the United States, and its Western allies using the Minsk agreements with Russia simply to rearm Ukraine so that it will become a stronger proxy. And also, here's where things get more complicated. The Taiwan issue is often described as the most dangerous flashpoint. If not in global politics, then certainly in the United States-China great power rivalry. So it's not just about territory. Of course, this is about credibility. This is about alliances, supply chains, and the balance of power. Taiwan sits at the very center of global semiconductor manufacturing, too, and any disruption there would affect the world economy in an instant. So when China says that this is a red line, that it directly affects its sovereignty, it's not just rhetoric for Chinese domestic consumption alone. It is a message first and foremost to Washington, to U.S. defense firms, and to Western allies that may align with the United States and continue to sell weapons to Taiwan and send military instructors and effectively support Taiwan militarily. At the same time, in the United States, we have to know that bipartisan support for Taiwan remains very strong. Not surprisingly, of course, it still remains strong for Zelensky's regime, too. What we're seeing here is not just a sudden crisis between the United States and China over Taiwan, but this is a steady unraveling. This is a steady unfolding of what will likely become a real threat in the likely not-so-distant future. More arms sales, more sanctions, more military exercises, more posturing. Each step actually raises the stakes, and it may potentially trigger open conflict. And that, of course, should be avoided at all costs. And that's the uncomfortable reality. That is the uncomfortable truth. The United States and China are locked in a strategic competition. With Taiwan as the most sensitive pressure point, the Asia-Pacific is becoming central for the United States. In terms of security, as you know, and if you follow me on Accent Telegram, I recently shared that Japan is now looking to obtain its own nuclear weapons, potentially. PM Takaichi is hinting at a security policy changes, despite the fact that Japan has been under the U.S. nuclear umbrella for decades, and that would clearly pose a threat to China. So it may be safe to say that the Taiwan issue isn't cooling down anytime soon. It is becoming more explicit, and it will likely escalate. Stay tuned. I will keep you updated here on YouTube and over on my Substack and Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining me support my work. I truly appreciate every single one of you who has become a paid subscriber. Thank you so much. I also appreciate you liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thank you for your support, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Take care.